Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, you're going to hear a lot of stories about layoffs, about people demanding to talk to the manager, and of course, your favorite, Karen. So get ready. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. He's finally gone, and all I had to do was nothing. Do you know that guy at work that everyone hates? The rude, obnoxious, lazy one that no one quite understands how he still has a job? Well, mine's name was Bob. For months, Bob partnered himself up with me with a lovely 90-10 split of the work. Anytime I called him out on it, he got more and more obnoxious. And if it was actually possible, did less and less work. On top of all his other charming traits, Bob is an absolute phone addict. This is bad enough in a regular setting. Where we work, it's actually very, very dangerous not to be paying attention to what's going on around you. I've mentioned this to Bob repeatedly to no avail, even after he was nearly hit by a forklift and almost had his head smacked by a robot. Our manager at the time said if you're stupid enough to die because you wouldn't put your phone down, no one's gonna miss you, and ignored the behavior. My last straw at even attempting to get this guy to work and be safe was him snapping off, "Leave me alone about my effing phone." Well, we just got a new manager, partially because of our former manager's attitude towards safety issues, partly because of poor performance. The new manager had a quick, to-the-point meeting at the beginning of our shift and stated very clearly, "I see your phone, you're fired. No excuses, no exceptions." Bob missed this meeting because he was running late, again. About 2 hours later, I see the new manager walking to our area. Bob, as usual, was head down staring at his phone. Remember when he specifically said to leave him alone about his effing phone? Well, that's exactly what I did. Our new boss wound up standing behind him for a solid 3 minutes before Bob even noticed he was there. Bob was promptly escorted to HR, and I was apologized to by the new manager because I'd have to run the work area solo until a replacement was found. No big loss. The extra 10% is well worth knowing that guy won't be around anymore. Guess no one at that job will bother him about his damn phone again. And our second story. At closing time, I am still the manager. So I was 19 at the time and a shift supervisor at a local sub shop, Planet Sub. This was my first supervisory/managerial position, and for how shy and generally insecure I was at the time, I'm amazed I had the gall to do this. To be fair, it'd been a long day, and I had a second job that would give me more hours if I wanted. I was in charge of closing the store and had a couple of staff call in, leaving me and 2 workers to deal with a busy night of sandwiches, pissy and entitled customers, and no breaks save for quick restroom ones. The store closed at 10, and we were sure to be shutting things down at 10 o'clock and 1 second, clean as fast as we could, and be free. All of us had school and classes the next day, early. Around 9:30, I answered the phone to a terse gentleman demanding to know when we would close because he needed to pick up sandwiches. I told him we shut the doors at 10, so he'd have to be quick, and I offered to take his order over the phone so he could just pay when he gets here. He said he would have to look at the menu and rudely asked how he would have any idea what he wanted without seeing the menu. I replied that I had no idea if it was his first or 5th time here. He scoffed and said he'd be by soon, before 10. I kept going on about work, as we all got the closing and cleaning things done ahead of time that we could. As 10 p.m. neared, I kept glancing out front to see if he was here, but nope. Once 10 p.m. hit, we got on what we needed to finish, food covered, stored in the walk-in, counters cleared, etc. There were a few people finishing up eating in the lobby, but they looked almost done. At 10:15, an irate voice called into the kitchen asking, "Is there anybody working here? I would like to place my order." I walked out and behind the counter told him we had closed 15 minutes ago and the kitchen was shut down. "I called half an hour ago and I was told I could come get food still, that you were open," he stated. That was me you spoke to, and at 9:30. 45, not 30 minutes ago to be precise. We were open and I informed you that we closed at 10. It's 10:15. We're closed, I politely replied. "There are people here still eating, so you're clearly open." He gestured to the people putting on their coats and walking toward the door. Politely and with a forced friendly smile, I said they had put their order in before 10 o'clock and just finished. The oven's turned off and the food's put away. I don't effing care. Make me food, he sputtered. Sir, I cannot do that, I replied. We're closed. Everything is put away, and the registers are shut down for the night. We open at 8 a.m. tomorrow. I demand to speak to the manager right now, he hollered. At this moment, folks, I had a moment of clarity that I did not want to take this in the slightest, and I wanted to be a sarcastic and immature jerk. I didn't get paid enough for this, and I was fed up with the day. One moment, I'll get him, I said politely with a genuine smile. I then turned around, removed my hat and apron, hung them on a hood, and turned back to face him, stating, Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm the manager tonight. I heard cackles of laughter from the other employees in the back who'd been listening to all of it. I'm calling tomorrow for the store manager, and you'll all be fired, he stated, as he stormed out. His name's Sean. Have a good night, I shouted after him. He should be here by 7. He turned around at the door. You just lost a very valuable customer. This is the last time I'm coming here. Thank God for that, I said as he stepped out, turning around to flip me off on his way out. I then quickly locked the door and made sure he left. I called my manager, and he just laughed at it. He was a cool guy, total stoner, who was laid back. The guy never did come back, but he did give me a delightful memory and story. And our last story. How I got Karen fired. I was working a job that had me operating in one of our offices overseas. We would have business expenses, and those receipts would be in the language of the country we were in, obviously. Those expenses were for things like printer ink, office equipment, cleaning services, marketing costs, all pretty standard stuff. Well, around this time, we got a new VP over our region who worked out of the head office in LA. This VP came up with this brilliant idea to hire a translator to translate all the receipts to make sure we weren't sneaking in bullcrap. Fair enough. However, the issue that arose was that we had to send our expenses to the translator who would translate the receipt, then submit for reimbursement. The problem was this translator was a real Karen type. She would demand better scans of the receipts, oftentimes after we'd already thrown it away. She would argue if we really got the best deal on whatever we bought. I remember in one transaction on about $200 worth of ink cartridges, she asked me why I didn't order online from this common website, to which I said they were out of stock at the time and we needed the ink, so we bought it from a local store. To which she said I was spending too much money. To which I said, it's none of your concern. Your job is to translate the receipt. To which she said, if I want her to submit my expenses, I need to be nice to her. To which I said, she needs to learn her place. She's a translator, not a VP that gets to instruct me what to do. After this encounter, she started being extra anal with my expenses, so one day I came into the office early to call her and try to work things out. She basically told me that I screwed up by pissing her off, and she expected my expense reports to be perfect, or she wouldn't submit them unless they were. I told her if she keeps this up, she won't have a job much longer. She laughed and wished me well and hung up. A few months later, we had our annual meeting in LA, and after the meeting, we were at a bar, and I walked up to our VP and started up a conversation. I steered the conversation to expenses and asked him how much in monthly expenses did he typically reimburse us for the country we worked out of. He said about $3,000 to $4,000. I acted surprised and asked, is that all? He goes, yeah. To clarify, that $3,000 to $4,000 is the typical spend. He says, yeah, it rarely gets above 4. So I ask him about how Karen, our translator, is doing. He says she's doing a good job, and I nod my head and go, how much fraudulent expenses has she caught? It's important to note every employee that was submitting expenses was well paid. They'd be awfully stupid trying to skim some extra dollars via fraudulent expense reports. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you hired her to ensure all the expenses you were reimbursing us for are legitimate, right? Her job is to translate them for you, correct? He says it is, and I say, so is it safe to presume you've done that to ensure people aren't submitting BS expenses? He says, you could say that. I smile and ask, so how much in fraudulent expenses has she caught? He thinks for a moment and goes, I don't think she's caught any. So I ask, and how much do we pay her? He says it depends on her workload, but between $2,500 and $3,000 a month. I smile and ask, does it make sense to pay someone $3,000 a month to translate $3,000 in receipts? Well, she ensures we aren't getting fraudulent expenses, and I counter, well, you said she hasn't caught any in the last 9 months, and the expenses are always between $3,000 and $4,000. So as long as the expenses stay in that range, wouldn't it be safe to assume that the expenses are legitimate? And couldn't you bring on a translator on a contract basis if they get out of hand? He sees my point. And imagine the cost savings. We probably would save over $40,000 a year. That's a good chunk of change, isn't it? The VP tries to defend his position, but she does a good job. And I counter, but you could frame this as you've saved us $40,000 a year and created a baseline to judge expenses by. Cutting costs is always good for the bottom line and the end-of-year bonuses, isn't it? FYI, I knew that a major percentage of a VP comp package with the company had to do with the company's margin at the end of the year. The bigger the margin, the bigger the bonus. Well, you could see the twinkle in his eye. We carry on the rest of the night. A few weeks later, we get an email from the VP saying that we are to submit all of our expenses directly to the admin for reimbursement and that we have let go of Karen. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.